Hey guys, NF version 2 here. I want to do something different this time with doing videos. I know you guys been used to me doing unboxings and making wrestling, predictions and everything like that. But I see people online, especially on YouTube, doing top 10s, top 5s. So I figured, why the hell not? I'd give that a try. So this is gonna be a top 10, but instead of being a top 10, it's gonna be a top 15. It's too much, too many good things to happen, and this during times that I'm trying to do. So basically, this is gonna be the top 15 Nickelodeon shows of the 1990s. Basically, I'm gonna do 3 videos. Each video is gonna go from 15 to 10. 15 to 11, 10 to 6, and 5 to 1. So I'm going to explain why I picked for each shows I put on my countdown. But these are my own favorites. These are not done by in any way shaped or form of Nickelodeon itself. These are how I viewed these shows as my personal favorites from the 90s. So I'm going to kick this off with number 15. And this was a pretty decent Nicktoon. It debuted in April 19th, 1997. It is The Angry Beavers. If you guys don't remember, it's about 2 beavers. One is Daggett, who is the younger of the 2. He's very hyperactive and very immature for his age, but he does do a lot of work whenever he's provoked. And his older brother is Norbert, aka Norb, who is generally well spoken. He's very smart. He knows what he's doing. He tries to get his younger brother Daggett to do a bunch of things that he doesn't really want to do, but believes in his own brother. It's a very good cartoon. I would recommend watching it if you haven't heard the show of The Angry Beavers. Yeah, and they had some other characters on there too. Big Bear. He's kind of like the Barry White kind of Barry White-esque type of character. He's very cool. He sounds very cool. He has that that tone that Barry White does when he sings. So yeah, give that a check. Number 14. It debuted April 4th, 1998. Show is called Cat Dog, another good Nicktoon. If you haven't watched that show, you better watch that one. It's very funny. Basically, a cat and a dog are attached as one. So basically, one end the dog, the other one's a cat. The cat is very smart and very cunning. Usually tricks dog, who is the happy-go-lucky and very naive dog. So cat kind of takes advantage of dog. But dog is very nice, and sometimes cat is, he learns his own lesson at times. They have good enemies as the greaser dogs. Cliff is the leader of the group, but he's very short-tempered. Shriek is very squeaky, as the name prohibits it. And she also has a secret crush on Dog. So that's it kind of balances out. And the last one of the group is Lube. He is the slowest of the group, but he's also the sweetest of the group. So basically, the greaser dogs always go after cat dog, because they're bad. The greaser dogs are bad. And there's one personal character I actually like in the show. It's Rancid the Rabbit. Because he kind of dresses up as anything in that show. He's like, once he's like a cop, once he's a judge, He kind of screws everybody over. It's very funny, so I give that a check. Number 13 on my countdown is Hey Arnold. Very, very good show. I love that show. Debuted October 7th, 1996. If you don't know Hey Arnold, then you don't know what Nickelodeon is. Features, Arnold himself. He has that football head. His best friend is Gerald. And this part of the whole show is Helga who's the very, well, don't want to say bitchy, but she's the very nasty girl who secretly has a crush on Arnold. So she treats him with disrespect, but, she kind of holds it down for herself. She also has a best friend named Phoebe, who's the nerd of the show. There's other characters in that show. Harold, who's the big fat guy, he eats a lot of stuff. I guess you could say I'm Harold because I'm fat, but nobody could be fat as him. So there's other good characters on there. Sid, who hangs out with Gerald a lot. Stanky, he's a very southern character, and he's like one of the nicest characters in the show. We got Rhonda, who's like the fashionist of the group. She kind of one episode I remember she kind of takes Helga under her wing, and tries to make Helga feminist in a sense, but Helga decides at the end that she's not like every other girl, and she kind of leaves the whole slumber party-esque. So yeah, Hey Arnold's definitely a good show if you haven't watched it. Number 12 in this countdown, I have Rocket Power. It debuted August 16th of 1999. Features four main characters: Otto, Rocket, who is the younger child of Ray, Ray Rocket, who's the father figure. Otto is very, let's say he's the show-off of the whole show. Skateboard. This show is mainly on like like outdoor activities, like skateboarding, hockey, mountain, like like going down the mountain and stuff like that. Like like kind of like X Games basically. Like all the X Games stuff is basically in this show. Even Tony Hawk makes an appearance every now and then. But besides Otto, his older sister Reggie, she's kind of the quote-unquote antagonist of the whole group. Otto's best friend is Twister, whose real name is Maurice, but he never likes that name, so he gives himself his own name, Twister. Basically, they were the main three, Otto, Reggie, and Twister, until Sam moved into the city, and they nicknamed him Squid, I think. Was it Squid? I think it was. But they made him the hockey goalie, which I personally love hockey. So basically, Sam is my favorite character of the whole show. He's the nerd, but he's gives himself credit. But as I was saying with Ray, who's the father figure, he basically owns a like a tiki shop. Like it's like an outdoor shop. He owns it with a guy named Tito, who's like a very good surfer. He's a very Hawaii kind of cool person. And basically, in some of these episodes, the main four characters have a little fight with this guy named Lars, who is Twist's older brother. But usually Lars loses. So I give it a check. Anybody who's never heard of Rocket Power, check it on YouTube. It's a very good show. I recommend it. The last show I want to talk about, number 11, debuted January 4th, 1990. Very good show. It's a game show. It's called Wild and Crazy Kids. There's basically three hosts of the show: Omar Gooding, Donnie Jeffcoat, and Annette Chavez. But she left the show in the second season, and they had another girl host. It was Jessica Gaines. Basically, these three hosts, they have a bunch of kids and maybe their parents, and they do a little bunch of mini games. They have fun. I remember one episode they did in like a medieval times building. They have like every game they had in that medieval times has to deal with medieval times. And there's another episode they did. Some of the episodes they did, they had special guests. Like they had Tobey Maguire even before he was grown up. You know Toby, he was Spider-Man. They had a whole bunch of special guests. Um, can't really name them off the top of my head. But I give the show a good check. There's somebody on YouTube that posts those shows of Wild and Crazy Kids. There's another episode on Wild and Crazy Kids. I like one of the mini games featured like a Space Invaders kind of thing where they lined up all the kids and they move slowly down. They have a kid throwing balloons from the top, it's like water balloons, and they nail that kid on the bottom. He's out. It's a very fun show. So I missed the good times. But this is the end of part 1. I got 2 other videos to do. I'll probably do a annotation for each video that I'm doing to remind people if you haven't watched this certain part, make sure you watch that beforehand. But yeah, this is the end of part 1, and see you guys in a bit.